G'day again from us sailing on Annecam. This episode, it's all about sailing in and around Sydney Harbour. In total, we spent almost 2 months sailing in this beautiful waterway. Just sit back and check out some of the beautiful locations that we sailed to. If it wasn't for our ship's log, we would have lost track of the number of times that we passed under the iconic Sydney Harbour Bridge. Who would have believed we would find ourselves here in this beautiful waterway after all of those years ago when we first started sailing on Annecam in the middle of the Mediterranean? I will throw up the odd name as they pop up, like this one, Shark Island in Rose Bay. The Manly Ferry. The skyline of the city of Sydney, with the Opera House in front, and the Harbour Bridge. And that would be Kirribilli House, just to the right of the bridge. As crazy as it sounds, looking from the outside, looking in, always gives you a much better perspective of where you are at the time. Going under any bridge on one's own boat, you check the charts, you check the air clearance on the charts for the bridge, and you know what height your mast is out of the water. We have done this more than 50 times in our travels around the world, and every time, the first time we go under, it's always a bit sweaty on the palms and a very elevated heartbeat. Two very happy sailors. This would be Ball's Head Bay, out in front of HMAS Waterhen, where our minesweepers are kept. It was in here we caught up with some of the sailors and some of the yachts that we had met before in our travels. Some of the sailors like Eve of Auntie and Diane of Rathspeed. We were never really sure of the name of this location, but just for this exercise, we'll call it the Iron Cove Shopping Centre. The call went out to follow that ferry Let's see where we end up. We found ourselves in Blackwattle Bay, in behind the Anzac Bridge and in the same patch of water that the Sydney Fish Market sits on, right behind the city. We caught up with our American friends again, Eve off Auntie and Chris off Scintilla. We took a train ride up into the Blue Mountains. The really crazy part of this day was our friends Chris were the ones that showed us what trains to catch, what buses to catch, and where to get off to find the right tourist spots. And Katoomba was our hop-off spot. We soon found ourselves at the majestic Carrington for lunch. Did I mention we had some wine with our lunch and then some lunch with our wine? After lunch, it was a short bus ride to probably the most popular lookout in this part of the world. The views out over the Blue Mountains were nothing short of spectacular. And the Three Sisters, the rocky formation you can see in the centre of the shot. We decided to walk the very busy trail down to the Three Sisters. Leaving the others up here on the lookout, only Eve and myself braved the stairs all the way down to where the Three Sisters are. We made it down to this very busy location, and looking up, we could barely make out Chris and Annie up on the lookout. To some of the art you will find on this trail. it was that time of the day to catch the bus, the train and another bus to head back down to Sydney Harbour where our boats were waiting. They say time flies when you're having fun. It just seemed in no time at all that Australia Day was upon us. We dressed Annecam in all of the courtesy flags from the 52 different countries we had sailed to, and some Australian flag bunting to commemorate this special day for us here in Australia. To celebrate the day, there was a parade of tall ships, too far away for us to see, and some aircraft putting on a display. And there was also a fireworks demonstration put on over near the city. There was a day where we jumped off Annecam and caught the fast ferry from the Rose Bay Ferry Terminal and took a ride around to Circular Quay. Taking the fast ferry to this part of the city gives us a whole new perspective of where we really are. We think they were celebrating the Chinese New Year. I think they had another name for it, but we called it the Year of the Chook. This gives us a completely different angle on the Opera House, up close and personal. You might ask why we are all dressed up in our finest. Here, watching this huge monstrosity of a ship, the ovation of the seas. We're here to catch up with Mandy and Peter as they are about to board. They happen to be fellow Bavaria owners. It's quite funny, we've been staying in touch with this couple for quite some time on our blog and on social media, and this is the first time we've met them in the flesh. Did I ever mention how wet Sydney can be this time of the year? Sydney Harbour, like most locations around the world, has very rich water, and the growth on McKenna, our dinghy, speaks for itself. Looking good again after a scrub. At least with all the moisture in the atmosphere, we got some pretty special sunsets. It seemed like the weather had got into a pattern where every late afternoon we had a storm build up, day after day. And every morning it was almost as calm as a mill pond. And by the way, this is Sailors Bay. And this location is Bantry Bay, where the old powder magazines are located. And this is Sailors Bay again. We would leave Annecam here on a commercial mooring for 1 month and take a tour via the plane and car and train down to Victoria and back again. You guessed it, another late afternoon thunderstorm building up. I mentioned in the last episode that we were on the hunt for our forever home base, somewhere to retire to, some patch of real estate somewhere that had a view and it was close to where we could keep Annecam. And Sydney was definitely not going to be in our price range. So onward and upward we would go. We say see you later to Sydney. After spending almost 2 months in this amazing piece of water, it was time to move on.
G'day you crazy people, you're still here. You can shave my legs and call me Shirley. Just hit the like and the subscribe at the end of this video. Cheers.
The 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. Cheers from us sailing on Annecam.